Red Dead Redemption 2 might just be one of the greatest gaming experiences I've ever had. And it's not just because of the incredible story or the world or the complex characters and their arcs, it's the way all of it comes together to create something genuinely special. To put it simply, I'm a massive fan of Red Dead 2, aside from the online mode, but we don't really talk about that.
The badass is coming through.
Alright, oh, is this you?
Yeah.
If you played the game, and let's be honest, you probably have if you're watching this video, then you already know how ridiculously long it is. The main story alone being like 50 to 60 hours, and during my first playthrough, I mostly stuck to main missions and still ended up clocking like 90 hours in this game. That's kind of insane. And I'm bringing this up because I love long games, but at a certain point, at around the 30 to 40 hour mark, I just got tired. I wanted to know how the story ended. I was so desperate to see how the tale of the Vanderlyn game wrapped up that I rushed through the game. And by doing that, I didn't give myself the time to soak in everything this game had to offer. And to make it clear, that's not Rockstar's fault, that was all me. We all experience games differently, and for me, I've always been driven by story. Most of my favorite games of all time revolve around a narrative. There are very few games that I admire and continue to play to this day that are based on a single core mechanic or loop. So naturally, when I played Red Dead 2, all I cared about was pushing the plot forward. But once I finished it for the first time and cried my eyes out, I couldn't stop thinking about what I had missed. So a couple months later, I started a second playthrough. This time, doing a lot of things differently. I took my time. I went to saloons. I bought new guns. I hunted. I finally let myself live in this world. And what hit me the most was just how more rewarding the experience became. I knew I couldn't change the tragic fate of this game, but that gave me more reason to enjoy the quiet moments. I drank and got blitzed with my fellow people in like the funniest as shit way possible. I joined camp conversations, all the things I skipped in the first game because they weren't important, but they were. And halfway through this slower playthrough, it clicked. This is how you're meant to experience Red Dead Redemption 2, not by racing through it, but by letting yourself exist in it. And when I finally did that, I had what I can only describe as the gaming experience of a lifetime. Red Dead Redemption 2's story is nothing short of sheer brilliance. I wholeheartedly believe it's one of the closest things I've ever experienced to a perfect video game narrative. But even with how incredible it is, I don't think I'm wrong in saying that the missions can be kind of repetitive after a while. There's definitely a clear rhythm to 90% of the missions, ride somewhere, talk with your buddy, something bad happens, shoot some heads, maybe talk again for a bit, and then ride back. And while these missions are well made and help to deliver a powerful story, doing them back to back started to become tedious. It reached a certain point where I wasn't actually appreciating the world or the characters anymore. I was just following mission objectives to get to the next moment. And I think that's a pretty common experience for those that were playing this game. For me, I just got so focused on reaching the end that I forgot to enjoy the moments in between. So on my second playthrough, I instead treated it like a world worth existing in. I gave myself the chance to slow down, and that changed my entire perspective on the game. Red Dead 2's mechanics of upgrading camp and donating supplies through various means, in my opinion, was incredibly underbaked. I feel like it wasn't very incentivized and more of an optional thing, which I don't really fuck with, leading to my first playthrough having no utilization of any of these mechanics. So, with the second playthrough, I again decided it would be a good idea to donate to my camp. I began hunting more animals and robbing more people, and overall just doing my share as Arthur Morgan. Slowing down like that ended up making the game feel way more enjoyable because I wasn't just blasting through missions. I was actually taking in the world, one miracle tonic at a time. That's like, I don't know why I put that in the script. Riding without a clear goal with your compass and setting up a camp and just existing in this fucking beautiful painting of a map made it all feel more immersive and real. It was also around this time that I discovered just how amazing Arthur's journal was as a mechanic of storytelling, which I never had really paid attention to before, but this time I opened it out of curiosity, and reading Arthur's thoughts, seeing sketches, and the way he reenacted certain plot points added a whole new layer to this experience. It helped me connect with him more, and it made this character with the best mutton chops you've ever seen feel more grounded as a person. Taking things slower let me notice stuff I just completely missed the first time around. And honestly, it made the game feel a lot more enjoyable. What makes Red Dead Redemption 2 feel so real is how the world behaves when you're not the center of it. Every NPC you will encounter almost seems to have a life of its own in some way. In towns, you will see people opening up shop in the morning, closing at night, sweeping up porches, getting drunk at the saloon, and even sitting around and talking about local gossip. If you return to the same place a few days later, their conversations might change, their routines might shift, and yet nothing about it ever feels forced on you or seems out of place. Most games I play always seem to treat me like I'm the center of attention, but it was honestly pretty refreshing to see that these people in this world didn't exist to serve me, they instead existed to make me feel like I was inhabiting an alive world. And that illusion of independence is honestly pretty damn underrated and also pretty damn powerful. Even when I was out in the middle of nowhere, that feeling of living in a truly breathing world never left, because I would always run into these random events. Maybe I would find a guy bitten by a snake and I'd have to suck the venom out, or O'Driscolls would jump me and I would have to kill them all or be killed. These random encounters are scattered everywhere, but they never feel like obligations. They just feel like interesting moments on top of an intriguing game. The next thing I want to talk about is the greet and antagonize system, which is amazing.
Hey, partner. Run along. What? You think you're frightening or something?
Say that again. How dare you?
Why don't you just shut up now?
If I shoot you, I ain't gonna miss.
Be quiet.
Ah, you're done. Ah! I'm almost out of sight.
You can walk through a town and acknowledge almost anyone, say howdy to a random guy, and then antagonize that same random guy. Red Dead Redemption 2 gives you the choice to set the tone and lets you really choose how Arthur carries himself in certain moments. Even though this mechanic is pretty simple and has been done a lot in other games like Bully, for example, I find it just works so much better because of how much bigger and alive the world feels, as well as how it influences your playthrough, because people will acknowledge your actions, which is super important when it comes to building immersion. All of this reinforces something Red Dead Redemption 2 does better than almost any other game. It creates a fictional world that continues with or without you. A world that does not give a single shit if you're playing the story or wandering around. A world where doing nothing feels substantial and worth your time. In chapter 1, I briefly touched a little bit on Arthur's journal and how amazing it was, but I never really fully dived in on what made it so special in the grand scheme of things, so I will do that now. Arthur's journal is one of the most powerful pieces of character building I've ever seen in any video game, and I might be sounding hyperbolic, but bro, it is just so damn cool. And yet, it's also one of the easiest things to overlook while playing. You're never required to read it, and the game never really insists that you do. But if you take the time to slow down and actually take the time to read it, you're rewarded with something surprisingly intimate and heartbreaking. Arthur's thoughts, his sketched memories, his quiet regrets and observations about the people and world around him. In this journal, you get to see who Arthur really is, along with his troubles and thoughts you never really hear, besides the occasional one line he states after every chapter. What makes it even more incredible is how the journal adapts to your playstyle and morale choices. If you play with high honor, the entries feel a lot more hopeful, reflective, and like even poetic. Arthur notices a lot more beauty in the world, he sketches wildlife, comments on acts of kindness, and tries to find meaning in everything around him. But with low honor, the writing becomes a lot more bitter and cynical. He still writes, but it feels a lot more cold and less poetic. That subtle shift tells you everything about where his head's at, and it mirrors the player's choices without needing a flashy morale system to spell it out, besides the existing one, but I'm talking about the journal. But that begs the question, why am I even talking about this in the first place? Well, for one, it's an amazing feature, and two, because if I never had chosen to slow down and put the missions aside, I would have never seen it in the first place. And that might sound dramatic or unimportant, but this journal, this simple ass, normal ass diary of a mutton chopped man ass journal is what quite literally immersed me the most and made me realize just how complex of a character Arthur Morgan is. And being able to understand that made me appreciate and empathize with him a whole lot more because it made me care. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a tragic tale no matter how you play it. During my first playthrough, it had already left a strong impression on me. It was great, emotional, and just extremely well written and chocked full of powerful and unforgettable moments. But, as I said before, I rushed through the game mission to mission, always focused on whatever came next. But it wasn't until my second playthrough that the full weight of the story had just fully landed on my dome, because suddenly the sad moments felt heavier, the characters seemed more real, and Arthur's journey became something I wasn't just watching but fully experiencing, because I spent time with Arthur outside of the story. It gave me the time to actually witness Arthur's character arc, not just in a fucking cutscene or a mission as I had experienced before, but anywhere in the open world, whether talking to NPCs or going out drinking at the saloon. It gave me an organic experience that pushed his character arc along without shoving it down my throat or making it seem forced. Because when you're not rushing, you hear the difference in every single conversation and action he does. And to put it short, it's tragic, it's sad as shit. And I cried my eyes out during the ending of the main story, and it was not only sad because of, Arthur's death and John's epilogue, but the sheer reality that the world I spent so much extra time in with Arthur would keep moving, even when he would eventually die. I only felt this, however, because of how the game sold its incredible world. Because of how Rockstar made it feel so alive with the NPCs and random encounters, it had successfully immersed me so hard that I believed, for that point, it could live on, even after Arthur's death. And by the time that reality sunk in, I realized that is the price of redemption in this game. The price is what you, the player, had to give up to make his death mean something. What I mean by that is, you see what Arthur gives up himself to die as an honorable man depending on your playthrough, but it's up to you to give his death that weight. If you take the time to soak in this character, riding into town, just doing a bunch of non-important things that are unnecessary to the story, you're making Arthur feel real through your own actions. You become the proof of his honor, and when that happens, you don't only feel more connected towards him as a character, but you're making his tragic tale hit that much harder. At the end of the day, you can experience this game any way you want to. I'm not the fun police and will tell you to do things certain ways. I just wanted to come out here and share my experiences with this game because I've never experienced a game like this ever in my life. Sure, I played most GTAs and the very first Red Dead Redemption, but none of them can compare to the sheer size or quality of this game. You can argue the mission structures are outdated, which I'd agree with you on that, but I feel that in this game, the missions were never the point. I mean, yes, they were to carry on the story and whatnot, but that's not what I mean. I hiked to the top of a mountain and fished in a cold pond. I went to the saloon and got a couple of drinks. I went around and sucked venom out of a dude's leg, which he then bought a gun for me after I returned to Valentine. I traveled around the entire map trying to kill every single O'Driscoll I could find. It's the little moments that mattered. The moments that feel special to you and only you. That was the point of this whole entire experience for me. I was able to live in a fully breathing world, doing whatever I wanted to as Arthur Morgan. So maybe, in light of everything I just said, maybe doing nothing isn't a waste of time in Red Dead Redemption 2. Maybe doing nothing is everything.